Now that we've talked about what we want to see at the Game Awards, um, I guess we can just sort of move into what our personal top five, or not top five, our personal games of the year.
Oh, then you know what? I need a minute to think about it. I'll let you one of you go. You
All
guys go
right,
first.
I
All
can
right.
go. I can go right now. The game, I think I've played only one game this year that I really loved that actually came out this year. Cisco, you already know what it is.
I already know what it is.
That's easily above and beyond Tunic.
That game was phenomenal.
Which we're sitting here pitching Zelda to Jake, but if you want another great Zelda experience, just play Tunic.
Tunic is the top 3 Zelda game, and it's not Zelda.
Tunic is a top 3 Zelda game, exactly, and that's from the whole entire Zelda series, not just like 2D or anything like that. Tunic is the top 3 Zelda game for sure.
Such a good game.
That game, I think it came out in March. We were, Cisco and I were both excited for it. And it dropped, and I was hooked pretty quickly, and the game was a lot better than I even expected it to be.
Yeah, we were already excited for it because we're like, this looks like what modern 2D Zelda would turn into. But we were not prepared for what we were getting ourselves into at all. As even as hyped as we were.
The bosses are better than they're harder than Zelda bosses. The game overall is way harder than the Zelda game. But they did the secrets and just exploration so well.
Mm-hmm. It's Zelda. So well. It's Zelda, but with Metroid level design.
Yeah, it's actually a lot like that, which is like almost the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
for me, it felt nostalgic. Cisco, I think you were saying this. It felt nostalgic, even without you ever playing it before. And that's not just because it felt like a Zelda game. Like, it has its own identity as well. And the feeling the game has, just the vibe it puts you in, because it doesn't have like a happy soundtrack over the top. It's a really vibey soundtrack, and it kind of it sets the tone for the whole entire game.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, one really cool thing about the game is the way that the way it does its story, the way it sets up its lore. It does so in a very old-fashioned way. And so right off the bat, one thing that you probably notice without actually noticing is that the map of the world and the instructions to play the game, it is in the form of a storybook. And everything you need to know about the game are in the pages that you collect of the storybook. So when you collect the map,
you collect these within the game, throughout the world.
Yeah. Throughout the world, you collect these things, and they give you hints about what to do and where to go. And there are secrets hidden within it and the smaller, finer details of that manual. Because it's organized like a traditional game manual. Like when you get a Super Nintendo game, you open it up, and then there's the manual and how it has all that cool stuff, letting you know how to play, giving you backstory for the games, because games back then didn't give you too much story like they do now, at least in comparison. And so, like, between the numbers and the symbols and everything, it's hidden. The secrets of the game and how to advance are hidden in there. And if you don't notice it, you won't continue. But when you discover something new,
it's also, the game is in its own language. So a lot of the stuff in the manuals, you only can kind of see through pictures, and it has text, but you can't decipher what it is because you don't know this language that it's in. And so there's a lot of stuff in there that you might see from, your first maybe 3 hours of playing the game. And some of that stuff you might not come to realize until you're, 15 hours in, like, oh, it's been there the whole time. I just had no idea that's what I had to do.
Between the lore that's hidden in the environment, to the bosses you fight, to the giant set pieces that are in the game, it's all just so much of a spectacle to take in. It's so cool. So cool.
Definitely. Easily the best game of the year for me. I don't know if you're going to mention anything about it too, Cisco, but for for me personally, I'll also say it didn't come out this year, but I played Resident Evil 8 this year. I don't think either of you are too big on Resident Evil, so I won't drag this for too long. I'll just say if you liked 7, 8 is I'd say it's almost just as good, if not a little better, depending on what you like within Resident Evil. It's a little less about horror and it's a little more action based, kind of pulling from Resident Evil 4 a little bit more. But I thought the game was really, really, really good. And I am excited to see where they go from here if they keep the series in first person. They're remaking Resident Evil 4 that comes out next year, which I'm pretty excited for as well. Actually, that is something I do hope they show that at the Game Awards too. I forgot about that. I hope they show off more of that. Resident Evil 4 is still my favorite Resident Evil.
That game looks good.
Yeah, it's looking super good. I am currently playing Metroid Prime, and that probably will end up being. I'll probably end up enjoying that more than Resident Evil 8, and maybe more than Tunic, depending on how it goes. But for right now, it's not up to those levels yet for me. I think I'm at a 40% of the game. I'm almost halfway, judging by what it says when I start the file. So I know there's a lot of good stuff to come still, but I'm really, 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 really enjoying it as my first time playing Metroid Prime. Trying to think if there's anything else I've played this year that I enjoyed. I think that was it. But for this year and this year alone, that came out this year, Tunic for sure.
Okay. So I'll go next in case Jake still needs some more time. I have 2 runner-ups. One of them didn't even come out this year, but I discovered it this year. The first runner-up is Risk of Rain 2. It is what's called it's called a roguelike. It's on Steam. I'm not going to say too much about the game, but it's a survival-based game where you collect items, pick a character, you try to advance to the levels and survive, beat the boss. There are a couple of different routes. Super fun. I've sunk about 250 hours in it. It's super, super well-designed game if you're looking for a roguelike. I did not expect to like it as much as I did when I bought it, but me and some friends just hopped on it, played it, and just got super into it. The next runner-up is actually going to be Gage's game of the year, which is Tunic. The game, we've already said a lot about it. Absolutely fantastic game. I didn't think anything was going to top it for me personally. The game was honestly that good. Like we said, it's a top 3 Zelda game without it being a Zelda game. Better than oh my goodness. When we do our Zelda bracket, I might just stick Tunic on it.
We should actually do that. I would love to do that. I would actually love to do that when we do that.
Because that game is so good.
I would like to see where it compares.
Yeah, got to get some more people to play that game. But my actual game of the year, I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I put off buying it for like 7 months, 7 or 8 months. The game came out in March, just like Tunic, and I told myself I was going to get it when it came out, and I didn't. And every time I looked at it, I'm like, I don't feel like spending $60 on this game. I'm sure I'll like it, but I don't want to spend $60 on this game. And one day, after I got my PC built, I'm like, you know what? I got a little bit of extra money. I'll buy the game, and I guess I'll play it. I've been putting it off for too long because I didn't want to play Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which I still have not touched. So I went ahead and I turned on Triangle Strategy. And
oh, yeah.
Good God. Project Triangle Strategy is everything I could ever want in an RPG. Personally, I like this more than the vast majority of the Fire Emblem games that I played. And Fire Emblem was my favorite franchise. The battle system is like, if you've ever heard of or seen or played Final Fantasy Tactics, it's very similar to that. It's still turn based, but turns are not determined in phases like Fire Emblem. It's determined by character
Yeah.
stats, and the battle mechanics are actually much deeper. The game is more difficult than the majority of Fire Emblem games. I think there are a couple that etch it out still, but the difficulty is like perfect. And the thing that really puts it over the edge for me is the story. The writing in that game is some of the best writing I've ever experienced in fiction. Period. The story is absolutely phenomenal, and the way that it works is you make decisions in the game that affect where the story goes. There are branching paths that always lead back to some of the same core decisions. There are three or four core decisions in the game that don't change, like no matter what. But everything in between, all the other contents of the story, change depending on the decisions you make. And it even affects what characters you can recruit over the course of the game. So, like, if you don't have a certain amount of points, because like there are invisible points that keep track, or that that keep track
Based
of all
on
the
your
decisions you made. Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a certain amount of points, then you can't get X character.
Yeah.
And it's just it's so engaging. And like the urge to not look up what the other routes do before they happen is so strong. But I promise, if you don't do it. Just experiencing the story firsthand. Like, I didn't expect to get emotionally invested in the tiny little sprites that they have, because the game does have sprite work.
That's
But
what I want to say, man. Those 2D HD games look amazing to
they
me.
look
I would
so
love.
beautiful.
They do look
I
great.
want so many other games in that same like engine that they do that in. I would love some other games to be made in that.
Yeah, I saw somebody say, "What if Pokemon went like that?" Could you imagine?
That's what I was trying to say in our first episode when we were talking about Pokemon is I do think the series would benefit from just a totally different style. I don't know if it needs to be the HD 2D, but I think even if Pokemon was in a similar camera view over the top angle, even like how Animal Crossing sort of was, might benefit more from that. But yeah, but that's besides the point. That HD 2D engine that the Square Enix does stuff in is amazing, and I want to see Mario RPG remade in that engine. That's
would be
like
slick.
that's kind of like a dream.
Bit of a pipe dream,
what I would
huh?
like. Yeah, I would love to see that though.
That does
BDSP
sound
is
nice.
also over the top angle.
It looks nothing like that, though.
It looked nothing.
I know.
Nothing like that.
I know that the BDSP is like the biggest thing is the artwork, and people are turned off by how it looks and everything. When I'm on it, I honestly wasn't. It looks way better than what Diamond and Pearl looked like for me. So I mean, that was a huge upgrade, and I think that the region, the beauty of the region needed like a spice up, and I think it actually spiced it up really nicely. Plus, Cloud Shadows, which is actually kind of innovative for Pokemon for once.
All right. I'm talking about my game. I'm talking about my game of the year. All right. This is not your chance to plug your favorite Pokemon game. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, you gave me the perfect reason, the perfect pitch of why I need to buy this why I need to buy Triangle Strategy.
The game is like, if you like tactical RPGs and you don't like Fire Emblem, but you still like tactical RPGs, or you
what
do
exactly
like
even is that? What exactly even makes a tactical RPG?
So the difference between a tactical RPG and a regular RPG is that tactical RPGs usually revolve around something akin to a board. It's all about movement, moving your pieces on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a regular RPG is usually something that is it has more to do with it's more of a game of stats.
Mm-hmm.
And item
and
collection.
Only a few characters. Yeah, and only a few characters compared to like a tactical RPG where you can have a lot more, and there's a lot more moving pieces. And a regular RPG, you have like only a couple things and here and there, and then you have like a set amount.
Yeah, so like if you see Final Fantasy, the characters are lined up and they all get their turn to attack.
Okay, that's all I need to know. I know I
Yeah.
won't like this, so
Yeah. So
I know this game is not
that,
for
that,
me.
that is probably not. um, but yeah. So if you're somebody who likes tactical RPGs and you're somebody who likes a really good story in a video game, this game has both of those. Very compelling characters, very deep battle mechanics. I mean, the only thing I can say is while the 2D HD art is very good looking and I very much appreciate it and I like that games are still doing that. This game in particular, with how dramatic it is, if this game was 3D, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Like this, I think it could have won Game of the Year if it was
3D
3D.
as in like it
Like
was
full
just like
3D
a
model.
third person?
No, 3D isn't like full 3D model, like the same way like a Final Fantasy
Really?
game would be. The
Man,
story is super because a
It
lot of
would be.
people were comparing it to like Game of Thrones, and you know how
I
popular Game of Thrones was.
yeah, I know, but I do think that there's things you can capture with that 2D HD art style that gets kind of lost, even if the graphics are maybe uh, I don't know, like maybe if they're technically better or today's like modern, like it's a little more modern. I think that the 2D HD style has its own sort of like character to it that makes it.
I agree. I think at least if the cutscenes were fully 3D animated at the very least, even if
Mhm,
the gameplay stayed in that same 2D ish style, if the
mhm,
cutscenes themselves, because the only issue is that there's a lot of emotion in these cutscenes, and the
mhm.
facial expressions won't ever capture that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and the body language won't either.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
But I love the gameplay the way it is, and I wouldn't change a single thing about it. It's just I would like to see that emotion more expressed through the character models, is all.
No, that makes sense.
But
Don't
that's
they
about all I
have
got.
cutscenes too in Triangle Strategy or no?
What's up?
Jake, you broke up a little
Don't
bit.
don't they have animated cutscenes in Triangle Strategy?
I mean, they're animated like the sprites are moving.
Oh no, I'm
You
talking
know,
about like straight up
not
like
not
it would be in like Three Houses or something. That like there's
no,
some like
not,
some
not
actual.
nothing rendered. No,
Okay.
no rendered cutscenes.
For some reason, I could have sworn there was when I was
It's
playing.
not.
Anyway, I was playing the demo because I was playing the demo for this game, and I for some reason thought like in the beginning there was a cutscene or something like that. But I do love the sprite work they did for this game. Absolutely love the sprite work, and honestly, like I was in the same kind of boat about the narrative where I was just like, wow, this is so cool. Like all of your decisions actually really impact how you're going to play the game throughout the entire gameplay. And the one thing about the narrative that I really love is that every single character felt so engaging. Nobody felt like a put off character or like a side character from what I was experiencing from what I was playing, and it felt like every single character has like their role to play, and they're not put off throughout the entire game, which is crazy. And I think that's very innovative too. That like there's three different paths in every single. It's basically based on how you feel, how things should be run, or like politically or something like that. It almost like the game morphs to what you want or what you think, which is really awesome. I think for that.
Now there are four paths. There are
Right,
four. There
four
are three.
paths. Yeah.
There are three main paths that you can take for the most part. But if you there's a fourth path that's sort of hidden. It's called the golden route,
Yeah, the
and that's
golden
if you
route.
make
Yep. Okay,
perfect
yeah.
if you make perfect
That's what I heard
decisions
about
throughout the game.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you wouldn't know unless you looked it up. But if you make perfect
Yeah.
decisions, then you get the perfect outcome. But outside of that, every decision that you make has an upside and a downside.
Yeah. So
So it leads for some
and
pretty
that's really
bittersweet endings.
yeah. which is still cool because like your decisions affect the result of it either way, which is really cool to see in a tactical RPG. And
Yeah.
as far as the narrative goes, like I know I didn't finish this game, and I definitely intend to buy the full thing. But all the all the guys that I've talked to that have played this game said that they have never seen a narrative like this game and a story like this game has ever been put out there. One of them has said that he's played a lot of, and this person has played a lot of RPGs. He said this is by far the best video game story I've ever seen or been a part of, which really struck me.
RPG.
Yeah, especially out of an
yeah.
RPG, which made me even more shocked of why and how this game didn't get best narrative for Game of the Year, which for me,
I don't think people played it. I just don't think the Game Awards nominees are usually not.
Yeah,
they're usually big fan favorite games, really.
For sure. That's
like because it didn't
another reason why
it didn't even get nominated.
It
didn't even get nominated for best tactical RPG. It's not. They put it in just a regular RPG, not tactical. So
I didn't even know there was a tactical.
It is what it is. Yeah, there is. But
really?
did you have a favorite game you played this year? If you don't, it's fine. But
yeah, for me it's Pokemon Legends Arceus. It came out last January, but it was just for me. It was like it's probably the best game for me, just narratively speaking, because this is a very unique Pokemon game, and this wasn't the bare bones Pokemon that I was used to, and I was actually very happy about that. And I really like the fact that it really explored the actual deep lore that I think the franchise was missing, and like the whole like historic exploring and everything and all the historic lore morph with the fact that like the Pokemons themselves are actual beings that some of the people actually worship and everything. That's like that felt like a really good change that the Pokemon I think needed, which is also kind of sad because I feel like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is making that less of a thing. You can get some of those same Pokemon that you could find in Legends Arceus now in Scarlet and Violet, which I think really kind of takes away the whole history thing, because those historic Pokemon were in my mind were supposed to be exclusive to this game, and now it's just going to be more widely available because people want the same Pokemon and the same thing. Huh?
I didn't know they did that. That is kind of lame.
Yeah,
I didn't know they did that.
I mean, of course they did because they're getting money from more people, right? They want a higher pool. Oh, your favorite Pokemon from Arceus are in this game too. You know.
Now, from what I understand, it's not available now, but they apparently are going to make it available for like a home update or something like that too. So,
I wish like maybe they should have like kept like something about it unique to Legends.
Exactly,
Arceus,
that's what I
like.
think.
Like even if it was like a certain color on the Pokemon or something to just kind of keep it identified to it being like an ancient Pokemon from like that. I didn't know they did that.
I guess in that sense, they're probably going to argue, like the golden forms, like before you help them or whatever, is unique to the game because they were all
there's
the golden
something.
forms.
As long as there's something, yeah. As long as there's something for me, it'll be good.
It's there, but at the same time, for me, it's like it's still supposed to be a different form. Like the best example I can give you is the other form for Scizor, the first one that we found in the forest. Oh man, I'm already forgetting his name. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name.
You're talking about that ugly evolution?
That yellow?
Yeah. Like the one that has the stone axe or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's ugly.
What did you? To me, not to turn this into Pokemon. I don't want to go down this too far, though.
Please don't.
The one thing that I loved about Arceus, though, that had me so excited about where Pokemon could go, was just I can't tell you how game changing it was to just be able to walk around and throw your Pokeball at the Pokemon. And the fact that you can't do that in order to catch Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet just feels like a huge step backwards to me. I think it's so stupid. That alone made Legends Arceus one of the best Pokemon games. It brought back the feeling that I had as a kid playing Pokemon, catching Pokemon. Was actually seeing Pokemon out in the wild and being able to throw the ball at it from a distance.
And the game didn't have massive performance issues.
Yeah.
And it looked better. And it just overall looks better.
Yeah, but like here's the other
What a
thing too, is
shame.
like even the Hisuian forms, like of the Hisuian Typhlosion and Samurai and those Pokemon, even like Hisuian Lilligant, like they're all going to be in Scarlet and Violet. That's the unfortunate part. Like they're all going to be available in Scarlet. I wish that was so like actually exclusive to Legends, because that, and I get it, because like the comp players want it all available, because they're like, oh my god, his Hisuian, his Samurai has dark typing and it's gonna help me with the showdown and stuff like that. I get it,
Money.
but at the same time, yeah,
Money.
money. I know it's all money, but
What
you
they
know,
need
as
to,
a
man, Jake, I have an idea to run by you. I'm just very curious what you think of this.